units that we spec'd out, the other two, they actually spec'd it out to a higher level. We didn't ask him to. He would not spec it, so his number was based on a higher, more equipment and a higher efficiencies. And we were comfortable with Dunkley and New England Mechanical's specification of what needed to be done. So that's why you're not comparing the last one, the highest one, you're not really comparing apples and apples, because that one's to a higher degree, so that's why it costs more.
All right. So when Dunkley gave the bid, did they figure in the rebate that you were talking about?
Well, the numbers that I have in front of you, the 76 and 98, do not have, the 98 is clearly in New England Mechanicals.
Mm-hmm.
They throw a rebate number, but there's no rebate number in Dunkley's, and everyone would be getting the same rebate. Right now, the town is working on the rebate directly with Eversource, whereas New England Mechanical is a big shop, and they have engineers. That's why it costs more, because they have a much bigger staff, a lot more resources to draw on. So a lot of times when you work with them, they do a lot of the rebate stuff, but that doesn't mean we can't do it. I'm dealing directly with Eversource to get the highest rebate.
Right.
So it kind of shows why we have a great relationship with MCOR. I get frustrated because I want them to do our work. They just, this is a municipality where we need to take the lowest bids, and if Dunkley is actually a reputable firm that can put in the same equipment that MCOR is, as far as I'm concerned, we have to go with Dunkley. And we talked to MCOR, and we basically said, you have to service what they put in. I don't want to hear it. So unless you get the lower price. So that's where I'm at right now.
Okay, so if we get it from Dunkley, then New England Mechanical will do any maintenance or upgrades?
They'll service Dunkley's work as part of the contract.
Okay. So we noticed also on the Dunkley bid that did not include line voltage wiring,
Yes.
permit fees, sales tax, and what is the value of that?
It's only going to be about a few $1,000s, and I'm going to take that out of building maintenance, the regular building maintenance. So I could have put that into the whole project, and I don't know exactly what that is right now. It's going to be about a few $1,000s,
Mm-hmm.
but the disparity, like you noticed, is so large that I'd rather go with Dunkley, have the extra line voltage work done. We'll take that out of building maintenance as not part of the total project to get this done, because in the end, we obviously have to go through the process and make sure the boards know, but I have to get this thing fixed.
All right, I did not notice under the Dunkley bid any warranty.
There is warranties.
I didn't notice that on the spec sheet.
It does have warranties. It has the same warranties, I believe, as New England Mechanicals, and I can verify that. It's just not showing up on this. I had my building supervisor, Ron Bentz, get this information because we were trying to push this thing. It doesn't say that on there, but it's my understanding it will be the same warranty as New England Mechanicals.
Okay.
Typically, it's coming from the vendor that they purchased the boilers from. It's the same, so you get the same warranty.
All right.
But I'll verify that.
I noticed also that, I don't know if it was MCOR or Bartol that guaranteed 24-hour service. And is that something that Dunkley will do as well?
Yes, they are. They are an outfit that will. But after we put this in, if it's warranted work, it's Dunkley. If there's something that happens to it, we still have a contract with New England Mechanical.
Which we would pay extra for.
No, we're already paying.
Okay, that was part of my original
Yeah.
question. Are we're going to continue with that contract and they're going to cover this?
Yes. It's because the thing about it is you have the boilers out there, but then you have, I think, 40 heat pumps in the attic. There's a ton of equipment, and I can go and see if there's any kind of reduction in New England Mechanical's pricing because there's going to be new boilers. But it's not just the boilers there. That building has a ton of equipment. That's why we used to save the $37,000 for this very day. So, I mean, we have a lot of moving parts going on in that building, but I do know that we need to get those boilers fixed. I got 3 prices. We are comfortable with Dunkley, and as I said before, Dunkley has done another air handle in the community center 2 years ago. They did we went through the same process and got 3 prices and got replaced the air handle in the PD, and we've used Bartol, but in the end, New England Mechanical services all that equipment.
Okay.
Can I follow up?
Yes.
All 3 are commercial outfits. They do commercial work primarily.
Yes,
and they're
Dunkley and New England Mechanical are more commercial industrial. Bartol is more residential, but they do some commercial. but they just did this job for us at the probate, so we got a price from them as well. We were comfortable that if they came in, they would do a good job. But those are the 3 vendors that we're aware of in this area that we're comfortable coming in and replacing our equipment.
Okay, they have insurance. I know there's a lot of
Yeah,
pipes
yep.
in the attic with
Yeah.
water lines going that could
Yep,
fail.
they have insurance and all the things. It's all part of us entering an agreement with them.
And having another company service the equipment doesn't void the warranty?
No, it does not. It hasn't, as I said, we've already had other equipment there, and in New England Mechanical doesn't treat it any differently. You still have to service the equipment.
Okay, and I'm sure you went through both of them to make sure nothing was, because I agree with you, that struck me immediately was the price differential.
Yes,
So you're confident
Sure.
that, I'm sure you are, because you're doing your job, but you're confident that there's nothing being missed here?
that's correct.
There's not gonna be any surprises, besides for the wiring, the electrical?
Correct.
Okay.
Paul?
So you're gonna check and make sure that, Dunkley is gonna ensure their workmanship.
Yes,
Manufacturer will ensure the components, the
correct.
original manufacturer, but Dunkley will ensure their workmanship for the work they're doing.
I'm gonna give them the new quote to just, so that it actually says that, and it will be in the agreement, in the contract that we sign with them.
Okay, and, just to clarify, the, New England Mechanical Maintenance Contract, is that a time and material contract now? Or is it a monthly fee and they do what we need them to do?
It is a quarterly fee. It's, depending on the building, some of them is for, some of the buildings, Town Hall being one of them, I believe PD, FSB, it's for preventive maintenance, like 3 times a year. They'll come in, check the equipment, they do the air filter changes, they do all the stuff, but if something breaks, then it's time and materials. For the community center, it is actually, because of so much equipment there, that contract with New England Mechanical is a fixed amount, and unless there's something very unusual, like the boiler's failing, anything that breaks, they gotta fix it. So if a heat pump goes down in there and something's not working in the community center, it's part of the contract. That's why that contract is actually more expensive. So going forward, we can negotiate that contract at the community center with New England Mechanical with new boilers going in, that we should be able to get a reduced price.
We would hope that the repair work on new boilers would be less than what you've been experiencing with the 5 old boilers.
They take
Maintenance
it,
is gonna be the same.
yeah, correct. They're taking a gamble when they give that maintenance contract that they're not gonna have any major failures, and that they're gonna come in and service it. Which you're gonna service a new boiler and an old boiler, it depends on how much things can break down on it. But when there's a massive failure and it all shuts down, that would not be covered under the contract that we have.
Thank you.
I don't wanna get real technical, but the other 2 quotes reference turn down ratios, and which is a measure of efficiency, a thermal efficiency.
Yep.
And Dunkley doesn't make any mention of the turn down ratio in its quote. Are we assured, and do you feel confident that these are as efficient or close to the same efficiency as the other quotes? They don't specify it.
The M-Core equipment and the Dunkley equipment are the same. Bartol's so whatever.
So the equipment, okay, so,
It says here, 3 new Lochner, 2,
Yeah.
it goes into, the problem with Dunkley's bid, if you wanna call it a problem, is they don't go to all the specifics in there, which I can get them to do that, but it is the same equipment.
so it'd be the same, so it's the same thermal efficiency? and
Correct.
Turn down ratios, okay. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments or questions? We'll act on this motion and then take up the second one. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstent-
Did the motion say forward to the Board of Finance?
Yes, he did.
Yes.
And it
So
also said.
this was just a
Yes.
by the way, just to clarify, this was just a motion to transfer to 37,000.
Right.
Yep.
Yes, those are 2 separate.
Sorry.
Okay. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Abstention? Carried unanimously. Now, the second one that talks about the money and where we're getting it from.
Move to approve the special appropriation in the amount of $76,854 for the purchase and installation of boiler replacement at East Lyme Community Center, being in the best interest of the town of East Lyme. Sources of the funding will be as follows: $37,042 in account 0101113 400-213 for heating, oil, and propane. $27,974 in account 3270-300-500-005, which is HVAC pump replacement townwide, and $13,800 Eversource incentive to replace heating equipment. And to forward this to the Board of Finance for approval, and I'll just note that the item will require town meeting.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any comments on this one? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carried unanimously. And now the resolution that will allow the first selectman to sign.
Resolved that Mark C. Nickerson, first selectman of the town of East Lyme, be and hereby is authorized to execute on behalf of the town of East Lyme agreements with Dunkley Cooling and Heating and Eversource Energy for the repair replacement of the boilers at the East Lyme Community Center, and is authorized to execute any and all documents necessary to consummate the transaction above, contemplated above, upon approval of the Board of Finance. And note, this item will require a town meeting.
Okay, so moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. Any comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Thank you for your inputs.
Thank
And
you.
Joe, thank you for your comments and your research on this and
Thank you.
having all the,
Thank you.
basically almost all the answers for all the, having all the answers for all the questions. Thank you. Okay, moving on, we have the appointment of Jeff Baldwin to the inland wetlands. We added that to the agenda. You want this
The
one?
move to appoint Jeff Baldwin to the Inland Wetlands Commission as full member with term to expire January 6, 2020.
Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second?
I do note that the certificate to appoint identifies him as Jesse.
Yes, it's Jesse.
Yes,
Okay.
So,
sorry.
just to, Mr. Baldwin has been serving as an alternate on the board for a while. We've had some vacancies, and we'll talk about that in a couple minutes. So this is a needed step up, and now we'll have to fill an alternate here coming up. But any other comments? And we thank Mr. Baldwin for his willing to serve in it is a very busy commission. To those of us that have served as ex officio, it does require a lot of time. No comments, we'll move it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries unanimously. The last thing will be a town meeting.
We'd like to schedule a special town meeting. Notice is hereby given of a special town meeting of the town of East Lyme to be held Wednesday, August 16th, 2017 at 7 p.m. EDT at the East Lyme Town Hall Upper Meeting Room for the following purposes. 1, to approve the special appropriation in the amount of $76,854 for the purchase and installation of a boiler replacement at East Lyme Community Center, being in the best interest of the town of East Lyme. Sources of funding will be as follows: $37,042 in account 0101113400213, and the heating and oil propane line item. $27,974 in account 3270-300-500-005, and the HVAC pump replacement townwide line item, and $13,800 Eversource incentive to replace heating equipment. And number 2, to transact any other business proper to come before the meeting, dated East Lyme, Connecticut, on the second day of August 2017, East Lyme Board of Selectmen.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second. One question. Anna, we did have that first motion to move to approve the carryover of 37 in account. Should that be on the town call as well?
The town call is for the full appropriated amount, which includes the $37,042, which is itemized in the act for the town.
Okay, so the motion as presented is fine. Okay, great. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carries unanimously. So the town meeting will be on the 16th. We do not have, a Board of Selectmen meeting that night, so the only thing we'll be here for that night is the town meeting. So that concludes our new business. Moving on to communications. Oh, no, we did take care of that.
Nope.
Communications, information reports, ex officio. Roseanne, anything?
No, I don't have anything this evening.
Mark?
I have a few things. The building commission met a few times. I went to the meeting. They interviewed 4 candidate companies for the project management of the project. They were quite lengthy, about an hour and a half each, and they spent a lot of time. I give them a lot of credit for the time they put in, and they met last week, and they I think they came up with a decision. I don't know if it's public yet on who they're going to go with for the project. But that's going on. I went to the Planning Commission meeting yesterday, and there was a quite lengthy meeting on the Twin Valley 25-lot CDD, Conservation Development by Design. This is one of the largest CDD developments being proposed in the town, Conservation Development by Design. For those of you who don't know, that's the new planning and zoning regulations for subdivisions. Anyways, that went to 10:30, and they had to continue the meeting because because of our 10:30 rule.
That's been going on a lot lately, and that and the weather.
Right,
So.
right. It was so. Anyways, that's going to be that was continued to the next meeting in September. That's all I have.
Okay. Dan?
Just, for both the Smith-Harris and Historic Properties Commissions, both commissions have suffered losses from people that have passed on, that had tremendous depth of the background for the history of our town. So I would encourage anyone that has an interest in either historical properties or the Smith-Harris House that might want to serve on a commission to express that and come forward. And the other thing is the Smith-Harris Commission will be having Smith-Harris House Commission will be having a fundraiser. I believe it's October 1st, the Bike and Barbecue, and it's going to be, last year it was at Rocky Neck, and there were some problems hosting it there. But it's going to be hosted right at Smith-Harris House. I think it'll be a nice day if the weather holds out, and I hope there's interest in that. That's it.
Paul?
Harbor Management reported that the state DEP has approved the harbor management plan and pending approval by the
Wow,
Army Corps. Then
that took a little
maybe
bit.
close to be coming to us to make it
Yeah,
approve it
wow.
and make it official. It's been a couple
2 or 3
three-year
years in the
process.
making.
More, because I was ex officio
Yeah,
to that
wow.
when they started, so it takes a while.
On the Inland Wetlands Agency, they continued their public hearing on the Twin Valley application. And both the public and the applicant and the intervener got to present what I believe to be their final public comments. I wasn't able to stay for the whole meeting, and I believe there's a special meeting coming up next week to have the agency act on that application. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. My ex officio is Parks and Rec. They do not meet in in July, and they'll be meeting next week. Just a very brief first Selectmen's report. Again, I have to start off with something that isn't very pleasant. Keith Hall, who had been a longtime member of Inland Wetlands and most recently as chair, sadly passed away after a short illness a little over a week ago. We all extend our condolences to his wife, Andrea, and his children. He was extremely worked very hard on behalf of that committee, and his loss will be felt. So, again, our sympathies. On to happier things. Celebrating Lyme Day, I think, was fantastic. Our fireworks, they were much better than Sailfest. I would think they lasted about 25 minutes. It was a really great day. Nice to see put the town's best face forward. I think everybody had a great time. We're having band concerts now Wednesday nights from 6 to 8 at McCook's. Probably not tonight with the weather, but and then Friday nights in the band shell. I attended both last week. There were probably over 100 at both, and it was a lot of fun. Also, the Regional Theater did Fiddler on the Roof. Everybody, unfortunately, I didn't see it, but everybody that went to it said it was extremely outstanding, wonderful thing. A little bit of news on the site of the old mobile station at the end of the street. The analysis not quite finalized with the boreholes, but it's looking very promising that not a lot's going to have to be done. I talked to Bill Scher about that today. We had a millstone drill today, and as always, we prevent anything bad from happening at the end. Some positive feedback from the town hall has been getting on the transfer station being opened all day on Saturday. They said it makes it a lot easier. You get up Saturday morning, you don't have to have your work done. You have time to do it and still get it to the transfer station. Don't forget the farmers market is still going, and now they've got some native produce in there. And I think that covers it. Holly, any comment? You're still here. Okay, thank you. Any selectmen's response, anything?
I'd like to ask our representative a couple of questions.
Certainly, Roseanne.
Surely. I noticed that some towns have already started to take action, assuming that they're not going to get the funding. And I just heard yesterday on the news that several school systems are already planning to start later than usual to save the money. Does that require state approval?
Not as far as I know, provided you have a plan in place to do the statutorily required days. I saw Torrington, I believe, was one of the school systems. They're extending the school year an additional 5 days, or however many days they've delayed into June to make up for that.
Okay.
I think the only thing that would be affected if a town had agreed to be in the regional calendar, but I don't know about that part of the state. I know East Lyme, I think, was, but I suspect there's nothing that requires a town to remain in that regional calendar if their finances dictate that they have to make changes.
Well, I understand that a couple of school systems are going to approach the state legislature to allow a shortened school year in terms of days. I believe the minimum now is 180 or 182 because they don't feel that they'll have enough money to operate. So I was just curious as to whether that required just State Board of Ed approval or whether that requires approval of the legislature.
I don't know. To be frank, I could certainly look into it, and because we're in special session and we're limited by what we can consider during the special session, I imagine if enough municipalities indicated it was going to be a problem, there would be consensus to do something to address that. But as I say, I don't know whether it requires legislative action or simply approval from the State Board of Education.
Well, I certainly hope we won't have to go to that extent.
I hope so too.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other selectmen's response? And if seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to adjourn.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second. Thank you. Everyone enjoy the rest of the summer and have a great evening. Huh?
Get the vote.
Oh, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Have a great rest of the summer and great evening.
All right.